All right, that's right. What's good? What's good? What's good? You are tuned in to Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man Kill. As you can see, it's a packed house. Most people we've ever had. So, as always, starting off with my little sis, Porsche. What's going on, miss?
I'm good, Kill. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Eddie, what's going on, good brother?
I'm doing good too, man.
All right. Veg out of Brooklyn. What's good, bro?
Chilling, man. I'm good. How are you?
All right. Everything's good. Rack out there in Houston. What's going on?
Hey, just trying to make it to the weekend.
I feel you. The R&B guru, JR. What's going on, man?
Oh, hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody?
All right. You're somewhere else. Yeah, my good brother. What's going on, man?
No, everything is good, man. Peace.
All right. Y'all know me. I always like to jump right into the topic. But before we get into the topic this week, I got to start the show off with a salute to a Philadelphia legend. You know what I mean? Last week, we lost Malik B from the Roots. You know what I mean? Who's a huge piece of the fabric of Philly hip hop. You know, I know a lot of hip hop heads, one from Philly, who kind of looked at Leak as like, yo, that's Black Thought sidekick or whatever, and nothing could be further from the truth. To me, Malik was just as important to the Roots as Fife is important to A Tribe Called Quest. You know what I mean? So just want to, take a second to salute the M. Illatan. It's funny, the other day somebody posted on Twitter, like, what's your favorite Roots song? First thing that came to mind was No Great Pretender. And I was like, well, I can't say that because Thought ain't even on that joint. But that is my favorite Roots song. You know what I mean? So I think I ended up saying like A Towel or something like that, something else off Philadelphia. But my favorite song off Philadelphia, which is my favorite Roots album, is No Great Pretender. You know what I mean? And the reason for that, and Ev will speak on this more, but, me and Ev are both from this section of Philly called Uptown, West Oak Lane, Mount Airy. And that's what Malik B represented. So when he said HRM, Ogontz Ave, Brickyard, The Hollow, I live on Ogontz Avenue and spent most of my teenage life trying not to get robbed by HRM. That's the hit and run mafia in Philly. When he says you wore your little road chain in West Oak Lane, the niggas from Logan came to extort. You know the game. Extort is a Philly word for getting robbed. I've never met nobody else who even understood that. You know what I mean? And again, I'm from West Oak Lane. I used to mess with a shorty down Nicetown, which is right next to Logan. So his words spoke to me much more than Thought was. So, when people say the Roots of Philly, me being from Philly, I'm like, nah, Malik B was from Philly. I mean, the Roots is cool, but Malik B to me was what represented Philly. So just want to salute the M. Illatan. The one thing I'm proud of and can say, that man's name always stayed on my mouth on this show or wherever. Most improved MC, I bring up his name. You know what I mean? Most slept on MC, I bring up his name. You know what I mean? So just wanted to get that salute. Ev, you being in Philadelphia, and tell me something about Malik with you, good brother.
I'll say this, Malik, during a time when most MCs, I guess like mid-90s, early 90s to mid-90s, when most cats was out in the world trying to sharpen your skill and get sharper as an MC, and there's always ciphers everywhere, no matter what part of town you was in. The thing is, you always saw Malik be in a cipher somewhere. Another thing, he was a floater, so he was known in every section of Philly, South, West, North, Uptown. The cat just floated everywhere, and I just really got to shout him out because he was truly like a really like good dude. Everybody know he had his own challenges and things like that, but he was always a peace cat. A lot of times, even if he met you once or twice, he would remember your name. And you just got to really, a cat like that, because we all kind of looked up to him because of who he was and what he was doing. But outside of that, he was just Malik B. He would let you know in a second, like, yo, I'm an MC, I'm another MC out here, just like y'all MCs out here. And I really got to, shout the brother out, man. Again, I can't express how much of a good dude he was, man. I didn't have the pleasure of having a whole lot of conversations with him personally, but the times that I did, it was always peace. He always showed love. It was never no shade with Malik. It was never no shade. And I don't know anybody else who knows him ever felt like any shade from him, but the cats that I know that know him, nobody ever had any issues with Malik B. So just a big shout out to the cat, for his transition. May he rest in power. And, that's it.
Yeah, I was saying on Twitter the other day why this whole, and we'll dive into the Jag thing, but why it's such a Philly thing, because, me and Ev ran with a lot of Philly, a big city, but back in the early 90s when hip hop was really popping, it was a small unit. You know what I mean? So cats kind of all knew each other or knew of each other and things like that. And I said this, and maybe somebody else from Philly would disagree. Losing Malik B for Philly from the streets heard more from Malik B than to me if Thought or Quest passed. If Thought or Quest passed, the city, the mayor, people like that would definitely salute them. But trust and believe the streets has hurt him when Malik died. You know what I mean? Like for real. So that's that. Let's get into this because it's been taking up my 48 hours. The last 48 hours have been nothing but tweets, texts, DMs, everything about Jaguar Wright, everything she's saying. I can't believe Black Thought don't write his own rhymes, all these things. Let me start this off with a kill PSA. Y'all know me. You have mistaken me with a person who gives a fuck. I don't care if y'all believe it, y'all don't believe it. I can care less. I'm just telling you that for me, real quick, I've heard this about Thought for years, going all the way back to 96. And let me explain something too. When I say I heard it, I mean, I ain't hearing from the man who owns the bodega that's next to Marcy, who used to serve Jay-Z. Nah, I'm talking about if I tell you I hear something, I mean, I heard it from somebody who's next to the person I'm talking about. So I've heard numerous times from cats. If people pay attention to the roots, you've heard of the Fifth Dynasty. You've heard of Foreign Objects. Those were like, they imagine Native Tongue. That was all there was so many groups in there, but the Roots was the only one to blow up. So imagine if the Native Tongues, the only person out the Native Tongues that blew up was Tribe. But then Pasta Noose got in your ear like, yo, Tip don't be writing his rhymes. Like, that's a formidable source. You know what I mean? But I always just looked at it like, I'm like everybody else. Like, nah, Thought a monster. What you mean Thought don't write his own rhymes? You bugging. And for a lot of times, I'd be like, nigga, you jealous. Because I would ask niggas like, yo, bro, how you rhyme and in Foreign Objects and you ain't on Clones, but some nigga named Mars who I ain't never heard of is on Clones. Like, so I would tell niggas like, yo, man, you lying. But then I hear from somebody else a couple of years later. Then I hear from somebody else a couple of years later. And then Jag puts the stamp on it. And I'm like, ugh, that was the last piece of the puzzle right there for me. You know what I mean? So, and then the real last piece of the puzzle came when Jag said, stop having Montez call me. And Ev shaking his head because if you from Philly, that's why I told niggas, this some Philly shit. If you trust and believe what Jag is saying, I believe every inch of it, every single inch of it, because it's too many layers to it. But yeah, so that's my thing. And again, the allegations for me, because Ed, you sent me something earlier, and she had said something to the extent of like, what I got was, it seems that Thought has a hard time finishing rhymes. You know what I mean? And the example she gave was the joint What They Want or What They Do. I forgot the name. It was off the Best Man soundtrack.
Yeah, What They Want.
Yeah, What They Want. And it seemed like what Jag was saying was we booked the 8-hour session and we had to bang out this song for a soundtrack. Thought could only come up with 8 verses. So we helped finish the rest of the song. Now, anybody out there who's a mathematician, there's 48 verses in a rap song. There's 3 verses. That song has 3 verses. So if you tell me Thought wrote 8 and they wrote the other 40, nigga. Okay? So, but that may be a situation I'm gonna talk about later. Maybe Thought isn't an LL. LL is on some old shit. You want an hour, give me what do you say you want to hit? Give me an hour plus a pen and a pad. Thought may be like, you want to hit? Give me a week and a pen and a pad. You know what I mean? So it being for a soundtrack, it may have been like, no, we need a turnaround. We booked this session for 8 hours. Let's go. And maybe Thought isn't that person, and maybe he does need help doing that. Which gets me into the levels of ghostwriting that I want to go into. And y'all think about these. If y'all disagree with them, please let me know. If you got another one, we're gonna chop it off. I got level 1 ghostwriting. Someone writes all your rhymes for you all the time. Example, Eazy-E. You know what I mean? Cube, DOC, whoever wrote all the Eazy's rhymes, all of Dre's rhymes, all the time. Like, that's just it. Nobody, you just are getting written for all the time. Level 2, I got it is the same as number 1, but it happens sometimes. So, for instance, I'm sorry, Porsche, Drake. I do believe that Drake has written rhymes in his life. Maybe during that time with the whole Funk Flex thing or whatever, Maybe he needed some help, maybe whatever, but that would be a sometime situation. And I want to also talk about this because, Veg, I know you're a big Cube dude, and I've heard this before that Dell wrote a song for Cube. You know what I mean? So I don't know how true that is. We're going to chop it up about that later. But if that's true and Dell wrote a song for Cube, to me, that's level 2 ghostwriting, because I'm sure Dell wasn't writing everything for Cube. It's just a situation. Level 3, it's having someone co-write with you. So I give that as an example of this whole Black Thought scenario. If you're telling me Thought has a hard time and he may be able to give you 8, but he needs somebody else to give him another 8 to get his 16, or we'll go into this too, the whole Nas J Electronica Stickman thing, when it was like, oh, Stick is like, oh no, we co-wrote together. You know what I mean? I don't know what that shit means, because here's the thing. I've had studio equipment since 1995. If you went to Morgan, you've been through my crib. I've recorded MCs. I've been recording people for the past 25 years. I have never, not one time, seen somebody co-write. Never seen that shit, ever. I've seen me and Ev's peoples, Zayd and Lid. I've seen them come through. I've seen Zayd write his rhyme. Lid may get stuck. Lid'll be like, yo, Kill, I'm gonna run down to the Jamaican store. You want something? I'm like, yeah, be paid, Cobra Bread, give me a cola, come back. He may take a walk around the block. He gets his mind right. He comes back in. He finished writing his verse. I've never seen an MC sit there and have somebody else write his verse for him. Never seen the shit in 25 years. So this whole co-writing and we're gonna write together, I don't know what the fuck that shit means. So, Porsche, starting with you. The levels, are you good with them? You got any other levels to ghostwriting? Anything like that?
No, I think you covered them. I'm good with those levels.
You're good? All right, cool. And let me say this too, I forgot. I personally don't consider this, maybe other people do. When people are like, what I have seen is, yo, you should move that word there. Or maybe try saying it like this. Or maybe try it with this flow. Or, yo, this is a dope chorus. To me, that's not ghostwriting. That's just my opinion. That's not ghostwriting to me. If somebody says, or it's not ghost production, if somebody says, yo, Kill, I think the snare should be harder for this joint. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like what Biggie told Primo to scratch the R. Kelly for Unbelievable. I don't think that's ghost producing if somebody is like, well, you should use that for the chorus. So you should use, you know, Biggie told him, yo, just use Impeach the President. You know what I mean? So, but I don't hear nobody talking about Biggie ghost produced for Premier because he told him use Impeach the President and use R. Kelly for Unbelievable. No, that's a Premier song. So just for me, I don't think that whole, well, what if somebody gives you this flow, or, you know, DOC told Snoop to rhyme like this and, you know, whatever. That's not ghostwriting to me, but that's just me. Eddie, what about you? You have any problem with any of the levels? You got anything else you want to, another level you want to add?
I'm good with the levels. The one other level that I kind of have written down was like crew. I labeled it crew. And an example would be like Wu. Now, I feel like all the MCs in Wu, maybe with the exception of like ODB, I feel like are capable of writing full albums, full rhymes, and all that, right? Mm-hmm. And not saying ODB never wrote anything, but ODB got a lot of help. Like he took some of GZA's whole rhymes and put it on Return to 36. But what I'm saying with Wu is what I believe happened. So me and Porsche, like I sent something to the DM saying that Method Man wrote the first 6 bars of Sherzade La Ghost. You know, that was like one of his rhymes they wrote like when he was 16. But I feel like that's probably common, like for the crew, right? Like they feel like, all right, we're in this together. You know, this is gonna sound dope. It's probably, especially when they were making 36, like they were probably gonna try to put out the best album they could. So if someone had a line or two that sounded dope, they're like, yeah, use this. But you ain't gonna say Ghostface is not capable of writing his own shit, even though there were some allegations as far as Supreme Clientele. But I feel like Ghostface proved himself. But I think as a crew, they probably shared some lines. You know what I mean? So
I like that level 4 because that I got how much. I can't even read my own damn handwriting. how much of an intro? It's almost like with sampling. Like, how much can you sample before I sue you? How much can I sample, before it's ghostwriting? Because I think it was Ev who schooled me to the fact that LL wrote "Funky Fresh, dressed in the place, ready to party, dying to move your body" for MC Light for Self-Destruction. He didn't write the whole verse, but he wrote that intro. You know what I mean? So how much of like you said, Ghost took the intro from F. You know what I mean? And then another asterisk for me, I guess, for ghostwriting level 1, I never looked at Easy, Dre, Puffy, Biz, any of them people as lyricists. You know what I mean? So even with ODB, and this may be sacrilegious, I never looked at ODB as like no ill MC. You know what I mean? So maybe people, will be killing me on the timeline for that. But you know what I mean? Now, if you tell me Meth used a whole jizza rhyme, then I kind of feel differently. Like,
right.
if that makes sense. Vague, you're an MC. I'm dying to know what you think. What are you good with these levels, or do you feel like, you know what I mean, there needs to be more? Do I need to tweak them? Like, what's going on?
Vegas on mute, it looks like.
All right, Rec, what about you? I think Vegas stuck. Rec, what about you?
No, I think the levels are good. Eddie had a good point too. When you're dealing with a crew, there's some instances where somebody just might not be on point at that particular time, and they need a little bit of help. I kind of agree with Eddie. I think if you got a crew, that works. But the other levels you came up with, those are
I think Vegas back. Veg, you back?
You're on mute, Veg.
All right, JR, what about you? You good with the levels?
I agree with that. And then when Eddie came in and said his, yeah, I agree with that. Like all those four, I agree with.
All right, Ev, another resident MC. I'm dying to hear what you got to say. What are you feeling about these ghostwriting levels? Are you good with that? Is there something that's off? We need to add another one.
I'll be honest, man. It's either you wrote your verse or you didn't write your whole verse. It's like it's either you did or you didn't. And it's like any kind of, and I'm not talking about like helping somebody telling you, oh, deliver it like that or spit it like this, or maybe you got too many words in, maybe take some of these words out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like if you have anybody assisting you with any of your bars, you didn't write that whole verse, and you can't walk around with that thing like I wrote the whole verse. I'm not gonna go too deep into it because I'm never gonna like really unhack a lot of things. But yeah, I got the levels, but for me it does come down to either you wrote all of it or you didn't.
Right. And to me, sometimes it can be simple. Is literally, did you write it or did you not write it? Hold on, let me see if I can get Vague back in. Vague, you good?
Yeah, you can hear me?
All right. Yeah, I got you. So, Vague, what do you think about the levels? Do you think there's extra levels? Do you agree with the levels? You got beef with the levels?
No, I agree with the levels. I think they make sense for the different levels people create when they got record deals. Some people write their own stuff. Like you said, some people get lines here and there or ideas. Some people actually get the co-writing thing going, which is a whole nother thing. And I agree with Eddie, being in a big group like the Wu, I'm pretty sure they had rhymes, but, they probably definitely bounced off each other, more than once, just being crew and writing in this collective. So I think all the levels are straight.
All right, you got anything you want to add to it?
Nah. I think that's accurate.
All right. Now, here's a dope point that Vague just brought up, because me and Ed were talking about this the other day. People think I'm shitting on people who don't write their own rhymes, and I'm actually trying to be very sympathetic to this shit. And the reason why I say that is because I do have to think we have to look at the difference of someone being signed and someone being unsigned. And the reason why I say that is because when you're unsigned, you can take your time. There's no rush. You can sit back and say, hey, I'm going to take a week to, really pen this verse. Versus once you're signed, you may be under that Black Thought 8-hour, let's go, let's get this done. You got to keep moving. I've told the story before about the Ill and Out Scratch album. That when they dropped that first single, We're My Homies, it blew up so big. And the label rep when I was at 889 was telling me, yeah, they had a week to make that album. You know what I mean? Which is why the album sounds like it does, because it was a rushed album, because it was like, okay, the song is blowing up. Let's hurry up and get this done. You know, and you kind of get rushed like that. So I do think that there's a difference between someone who's signed and, you know, because it's easy for me to sit back and say, hey, I make 2 beats a week, you know, or 2 beats a month. You know what I mean? Versus when you have somebody that now you become part of the machine. One of my homeboys, again, like I said, if I tell you a story, it's by somebody who was touching that person, used to dig for Kanye. Now, because we're going to talk about Ghost production too. Now, when he told me that, I'm like, yo, that's whack. Like, to me, digging is half of the fun of making beats. Like, I used to get excited the night before a big dig, like, especially if I was getting with my peoples. Like, I would be up bright and early in the morning, ready to go. Like to me, digging is part of the process to making the beat. But then he was like, bro, you got to understand, Kanye is producer for Cam, producer for all these people. He working on his second album. He don't have time to dig no more. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I feel you. Then somebody else, again, everybody watching at home, remember, I worked at 889 from 93 to 2000. I know a lot of people. I've heard a lot of stories. Again, these stories that I hear are not coming from hearsay. This is coming from people that are in the industry, label heads, label reps, all that stuff. I've heard that for a while, Just Blaze was using unnamed producers and putting his name on it because he was so busy. He's so busy. You know what I mean? And it's easy for me to say, yo, you know, that's whack. But I guess if somebody got $250,000 in your face and they like, yo, we need a beat, and you don't have a beat, you know what I mean? Then you go to one of your little unnamed producers. You know what I mean? Most people know that Kanye came up under D-Dot's camp. You know what I mean? So some of them D-Dot beats may have really been Kanye beats. You know what I mean? So you never know, but it's like, so I just wanted to put that out there, and I'm not trying to, trust me, I'm not trying to give nobody a pass or give nobody an excuse to why they do it, but I am trying to at least be fair and say we got to also understand that when we're these independent artists, we have all the time we want. You know what I mean? If me and Vegas want to do an album and we like, oh, it's dropping August 5th, if he ain't finished writing the rhymes or I ain't finished doing the beats, it ain't shit to be like, it's gonna come out October 31st. Like, you can't do that in the industry. Like, you got to write at a certain point. I've always wanted this because I'm a writer, but I've always tried to, I actually had to try and start pushing myself to say, you know what, Kill, you got a week to write this script. Because I'm like, if I actually ever do get on, that's going to be my deadline. So right now I may take 3-4 months to write a script. And I'm like, yo, I need to start training my mind to be able to make a quicker turnaround. Because if I get in the industry like I want, ain't nobody going to be sitting around waiting 4 or 5 months for me to finish the script. You know what I mean? So I just also want to put that on the table too. Again, not trying to give nobody a pass, but there's a big difference between being a signed artist and having to use help and needing help and being an unsigned artist. Because what I hear is a lot of people who are unsigned saying it's bullshit. A lot of people who signed saying, I don't really have a problem with it. You know what I mean? So tell me this. Yeah, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say one that comes to mind was Will Smith or Fresh Prince. I mean, I'm sure that in the early days with him and Jazzy Jeff, he was writing his own rhymes. Then he got on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Then he started doing movies. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. Like he had help. He had ghostwriters because he was still a big name. People still want to hear his music. Like he still had a good voice and flow, but I'm sure he didn't have the time between his shows, his movies, and all that stuff.
Right. And here's another thing. Again, if we talk about something vague, can we talk about Cal? Because that's known, right? Or not? Okay, so we ain't gonna talk about that. You see, this and everybody out there on Twitter. This is what I'm saying.
It's in the credits, so
all right. Well,
we can talk about it.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm just telling people on Twitter. This is what I mean by you gotta do a check-in. This is why I told some people with this Philly shit right now, it's okay to just be quiet and listen. This is some Brooklyn shit. This is why I checked in with Vay. Like, Vay, can we talk about this? Because this is some Brooklyn shit. So that's good.
I think it's good. It's in the credits. So
all right. So one of our people's Vegas man who's been on, I think, all our albums, Kel Spence, who went to Morgan with us, was writing for Will. You know what I mean? So again, this isn't we heard through the again, we talking about the person who's touching Will Smith. You know what I mean? So yeah, Eddie, that's a great example and a perfect segue into that, you know, about how that happens. You know what I mean? So again, you know, I don't know, you know, it's different things, but yeah, Kel was writing for Will. Definitely this was like Wild Wild West time, right, Van?
Yeah, it was after the Big Willie style album.
Okay.
That's when he kind of got it. I think he got signed to Overbrook, the label, and then he started writing for Will.
All right.
For years.
Right. So for years. You know what I mean? But here's the thing again, and I hate to keep coming back to this. After the first Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince album, I never really took Will serious as an MC anymore. So again, I hate trying to, it's no disrespect. I'm not trying to put these people in a box, but again, he's the DJ, I'm the rapper. I didn't take Will Smith serious. Bismarck got a damn song about boogers. I'm not taking him serious as a lyricist. I'm not taking Easy serious. So again, some of these people who have ghostwriters, they're really not the lyricists that we're talking about. But let me get to this. Ev and Veg, y'all are the resident MCs. We're gonna start with you. Ev, we talk all the time, so I know your answer. But for the people who are watching who don't talk to you all the time, is ghostwriting in hip hop? Is ghostwriting good or bad? It's just that simple. Is with the culture of hip hop, you know, because the first thing, anytime we talk about ghostwriting, people always want to say, well, they do it in R&B or they do it in country. And I always tell people this started off as a culture. This is like no other genre that you can step to. You know, nobody cares if we found out tomorrow. Brett told me fucking Wanye from Williamboro, New Jersey. He ain't from Philly. That don't make me not want to play Ooh I no more. That shit don't make me not want to play fucking, you know, End of the Road no more. You could have told me them 4 niggas from Tennessee. I don't give a fuck. But if you tell me Jay-Z ain't from Marcy and that nigga's from Peekskill, New York, and went to Catholic school, we got a problem. So we got a huge problem now. But again, if you tell me when I saw Jodeci, I thought they was from New York. Puff had them niggas looking like they was from New York. When I found out they was from North Carolina, I wasn't like, oh man, fuck Forever My Lady. This shit whack. No, you don't care. You don't care where they're from in R&B. Whereas with hip hop, you do care if Jay is really from Marcy. You do care if he really wrote his rhymes. You do care. I'll say this generation, my generation cares. These young motherfuckers who let Rick Ross get away with being, I'm a CEO. No, I'm not a CEO. Okay, fuck it. I was a CEO. Maybe y'all don't care. Y'all don't care. But my generation, okay. You Jay-Z couldn't be like, no, I wasn't a drug dealer. No, I wasn't. Fuck it. No, I didn't do it. No, we gonna care. Veg, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna add real quick. It's similar to when I found out like Gangstar wasn't from Brooklyn. I ain't stopped becoming a Gangstar fan. I felt like they was repping Brooklyn like they was from it, so it was fine with me. Right.
So Ev, what are your thoughts on ghostwriting? Good or bad? Does ghostwriting have any place in the culture of hip hop? On any other 3 levels? So whether I'm writing all your rhymes all the time, I wrote 2 of your rhymes for you, or you know, I told somebody on Twitter like this because they was like, nah, ghostwriting is cool, ghostwriting is fine, ghostwriting is this. I said, my nigga, look at it like this. Let's pretend you're a professor and you gave a student a paper to write, and you found out that student only wrote 20% of that paper and the other 80% was written by somebody else. Are you passing that student? It literally is that simple as that. You know what I mean? Are you going to pass that student? And keep in mind, I'm talking about this. You have some type of morals as a professor. Are you passing that student knowing that this person, his job was to write this paper. His name is on it. And he only wrote 20% of it. And somebody else wrote the other 80%. I know as a professor.
Even if it was flipped, they would still fail. Even if they wrote 80% and had someone write the other 20, they would still fail.
Right. And I mean, I think sometimes we can make things so complicated when they don't need to be complicated. It's very simple. This is very simple. This is fucking first grade math right here. But Ev, ghostwriting in hip hop, does it have any place for you?
It's funny you asked. I was actually thinking about this question today, and for me, it's not the culture that I live. I'll start by saying that. I also say that the rules, you know, there's always these unspoken rules. And to me, the originators of this form, of this culture, are the ones that should write the rules. Now, this is where I got you supposed to write your own verses, is from those originators. So the culture that I live, no one, you should always write all your verses. I have books of rhymes. There's no one can ever say, "Oh, I wrote some of Ev's rhymes. I wrote some of Mental's rhymes." Nah, there's no one that can ever say that because that is against the rules. That's like it's taboo to even do that. Another thing too, I came up with it. It was about 11 or 12 MCs. It was a whole squad of us. No one ever wrote anybody else's rhyme, and that was even there was no expectation or even a thought. We wasn't even thinking that way. Like, oh, I can't get this done, so let me ask someone such and such to give me a hand. Now, if you can't get it done, then either you don't go on that track, or you go and get it done. One of the two. It's not a thing of, oh, I'm up against the clock. I need some help. No. That's not, because your pen is your pen, and you can't walk around and call yourself an MC if you got somebody else writing your shit. So for me, when I look at these cats who put on that label, that title of MC, I have to look at them funny. It's kind of like if I take Rec and if I take Rec for example, and I'm like, what I learned through my years is, if you're not in the military, you're not supposed to be saluting motherfuckers and shit. That's against the rules.
It's a rule to that too.
Exactly. So my thing is, if you're gonna walk around with that banner, with that title of MC, then you got to be MC. And if you have somebody writing your stuff, yeah, I can say I can't look at you as MC, or I'm going to say I'm gonna look at you a little funny now, because I can't put you on any kind of credible level, because I don't know at this point. I don't know what you wrote and what you did. And to add to that, the wild thing about this too is the majority of times when MCs have a ghostwriter, those lyrics aren't necessarily off the chain. It's not like I'm reciting, spitting the verses because they're so hot. You just need somebody to help you put in filler. You can do your own fucking filler if that's the case. That's me. That's the way that I was groomed. That's the way that I was raised. That's what we did in Philly in the 90s. You wrote your own shit. You had to be who you was, because your name and your credibility existed off of who you was. And if you wasn't writing your shit, you wasn't no MC. You was something. Maybe you're an entertainer, maybe you're something else, but you're not an MC.
Right. And I want to tag on this real quick before I go to Vague. That, people on the TL was like, well, Kill, this has been going on since the 80s. People have been writing rhymes for each other. And again, I'm not making this as an excuse. I'm just telling you how it was. In the 80s, let's say everybody up here on Apartment 5B was a group. We was all friends. We were all friends. And we said, yo, let's join the group. I'm not going to leave Eddie out of the group just because he don't write rhymes. You know what I mean? Like, there was a friendship element there. So it was like, fuck it, we'll write Eddie's rhymes for him. You know what I mean? So when people say this goes back to the 80s, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I'm trying to say that we weren't going to kick somebody out because they couldn't do. If we were friends, and this is why we did an ep of Apartment 5B called "What the Fuck Do You Do?" Because it was like, yo, what do the other two niggas in the Lost Boys do? Like, yo, what did DJ Polo do? Like, that's why we had that show. But that's why now, see, the thing is as people got older, they got hip to it, and they started to understand. Well, no, money's involved. So Eddie, I'm sorry. See, in the 80s, Eddie would have been in the group. In the 90s, we'd be like, sorry, Eddie, you could be the road manager or go to business school and do the contracts, but we're not going to give you a portion of this plate if you're not doing something. So again, I just want to put that out there for people like, oh, this has been going on since the 80s. You're right, but it was because it was just like, yo, we're fam, yo, write these rhymes for them or whatever like that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Beg, you're an MC coming from Brooklyn, because one thing I do want to say too is I always tell people it's all about how you were raised, and that's really about everything in life. I come from a very giving family. My mother's side of my family is very giving, so that's why I'm a very giving person. My next door neighbor's family could have been the total opposite, and they're very selfish. They were crackheads. So they're very selfish. So it's all about how you was raised, and what I love about what F said is this is what we did in Philly. I don't know what they did in Brooklyn. I don't know what they did in LA. I don't know what they did in Houston. I don't know what they did in Jersey. But in Philly, you wrote your own rhymes. And when you went into the cypher, you came off the top. That was Philly shit. Now, we're going to go to Brooklyn so Vague can school us on what was going on in Brooklyn. So Vague, ghostwriting, whack or not? Is there a place for ghostwriting in hip hop? The hip hop culture?
First of all, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the borough, I'm from the city, you know what I'm saying? So of course you can't be ghostwriting and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's New York City. What are you talking about? Right. It's not even a question. You know what I'm saying? But Plus, we both got Biggie shirts, so I just want to let that be known.
I have a Biggie shirt on too.
We
Okay,
all
3 Biggie shirts. But yeah, I come from the same era, so you know, if I find out, like, you know, I assume any MC that I think is dope, whether it's an MC that came out, Stove God Cooks, or Slick Rick, I'm gonna assume these are your words, these are your bars. That's just the era I'm from. That's my assumption. So if they're really dope to me, then I start putting you on a scale where I'm like, yo, he might be my favorite. He might be the best. He might be whatever. Best right now, whatever the case may be. And it's the same thing when you think about, I don't know, like I'm just thinking in general, but I think it's simple for somebody like me, because if I find out that, you know, you had a ghostwriter the whole time, I'm like, Ev, now I'm not looking at you the same way. I'm not putting you on that same plateau. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't put you next to the other dudes who I either know or my assumption is that they write their own rhymes. I can't put you on that same platform. Now, again, you brought up a great point. There are cases where, you know, there's all of us are like, write your own bars when we ain't got no deal. When we ain't got a 10 album deal where, you know, we on album number 8 and we wish we could get the hell off the label, you know what I'm saying, and we got a deadline. I'm pretty sure some people have done different things, but there's some people got ghostwriters in the beginning because what they was writing to get on was good, but it ain't good enough to sell singles or good enough to be on the radio. So I just look at people differently. You know, I don't really down them or whatever just because they have a ghostwriter, but I don't feel comfortable calling you the best. If I know somebody writing your shit all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of put you in the category. Like, I thought Biz was like one of the best back in the days before I knew like Kane and Coogee rap and everybody was writing his rhymes. I didn't dislike Biz after that. I just kind of took him out of the category where I put him before, as far as like putting him on the same level as other MCs who I felt like was writing their own rhymes. Right. So, like, yeah, in general, like, you know, because of the time I grew up, you know, if somebody else is writing your rhymes, you know, you got to asterisk next to your shit. Now, I just will say this, since I am an MC, I write all my rhymes. And I ain't have a bunch of features until my last project. So I just want to make that clear. It would never be me, but I ain't never really had to work, you know, for a living to write rhymes. So I don't know.
Right. And again, that's why I wanted to be fair. I'm a fair ball player. I wanted to put that out there. There's a big difference between when you're on and you're on deadlines than when you're not. You know what I mean? So JR, another Brooklyn representative. What do you think about ghostwriting in hip hop? And you're the R&B guru. So, you know, in R&B, like you said, we don't care, but.
Right. But see, my dad loved hip hop. So he was the type that like, yo, you got to write your own rhymes. If you don't, then I don't respect you. That's why he loved, his favorite was LL. So that's one time he would argue with somebody like, yo, I know LL wrote his stuff. But he would be like, yo, if I find out LL had a ghostwriter, I would be pissed. Because that's not the era he grew up in. He was like, this culture, you know what I'm saying? He used to go out to the parks hearing people freestyle. And he like, yo, this is what I know. So if I find out somebody is ghostwriting, like, that's whack to me. Like, I'm not even looking at you as an MC anymore. So he like, oh man, it would be crazy. I would see him sitting here and I'd be like, yo, you think this person might have write their rhymes? He was like, well, I ain't calling them an MC if they didn't. And I'm like, oh, all right, you know, because in R&B it's different. You know what I'm saying? So with me asking him about hip hop, it's a whole different thing. But he's like, yo, if you don't write your rhymes, I'm not looking at you as an MC, period. I'm looking at you as an entertainer, basically. Like, you're entertaining me, and that's it. Because this ain't your rhymes. Like, I'm not respecting you. This is not the culture. So
now, and I should have asked this earlier, because we have the 3 levels. So maybe you don't want 1 and 2, but 3 is okay. You know what I mean? Or 4 is okay. You know what I mean? So, Rec, are you good with all where does ghostwriting stand? Is it good for the culture? And maybe you may not have a problem with level 3. You may not have a problem with if, and I will get into why I believe it. If Black Thought, needs help finishing rhymes, if that's the truth, that's a level 3. Is that okay? Level 1 and level 2 may be a no-go because somebody done wrote all your rhymes, but is level 3 where you need a 16 and you can get 9 or 10, but then you need somebody to kind of bring you home for that stretch in. Is that okay for you?
No. I'm gonna give you an example. Before I called myself a DJ or a producer, I rhymed. I was part of a group, and this was before I knew how to make beats. It's exactly how you said it, Kill. It was a group of us. We were friends, and 2 guys, they rhymed. It was nice. They could freestyle. They could do all that. But I decided I was gonna write, right? So anytime we'd be in a cipher, I'd give a quick little, hey, look, this written. You couldn't just go into the freestyle and just be like, spit it written. You got to at least put a disclaimer out. So I wasn't nice. And that's what pushed me to really hone my craft as a DJ and really start working on trying to learn how to produce. Because you said it before, you had to have money, for one, to be a producer back in the 90s. If you didn't have the money to buy the equipment, you was just standing there. And that's not what I wanted. So I never allowed, even if it was whack, we go over songs and I'd be like, yo, what do y'all think? And they'd be like, yo, that's tight, but this is whack. Rewrite it. It was never, yo, let me sit down with you and help you fix it. Nah, nigga, go rewrite it and come back. Right. Enough for that. It just me coming back. It just it just didn't it didn't turn. So I said, okay, let me really get my DJ craft on and let me really focus on learning how to produce. I never thought to say, hey man, help me with this 16, help me with this 8, help me with this turnaround. I'll go home and rewrite it. If it's whack, tell me it's whack. So no, if I struggle to write a 16, you should struggle too if you're gonna call yourself an MC. It's that simple. That's just like what Ed was saying earlier. I got these 2 techniques sitting here, nice mixer, right? I've spent countless hours learning how to use this equipment before there was Serato, right? Countless hours. I got wax all through. Right.
Talk about before Serato, before YouTube. Okay, because now y'all get a machine, y'all get a beat machine, an MP, y'all go to YouTube and get tutorials. Nigga, we didn't have tutorials. Niggas was getting SP 1200s out the box and trying to read through the manual real quick. You know what I mean? And then having to learn on your own. So that's a whole nother thing right there with cats doing that. You know what I mean? Until Rec comes back, Porsche, what do you think? Does hip hop is there a place? Oh, well, let's go back to Rec. I didn't know Rec was right back. What you got, Rec?
This is a record. This is before Serato. Right. You have to know how to spin these before you can call yourself a DJ. And that's key. You have to learn those things. It's the same with bar structures and everything else. It's a process to it. You're not going to be, MC nice from day one. It doesn't work that way. That's not what the culture is about. And today's generation does not have that. Everything is right here. They can go to that with the quickness, and that's what they're used to. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it's right. If me as a struggling artist coming up trying to figure out how to write and structure a 16 or have to go back and rewrite it, is not that, and I decide I want to go and do something else and I'm better at those things than I was at writing, then that's what I did. Right. This generation is not willing to do that at all. And no cost.
But I think it comes back to too, like you said, I used to try to rhyme too, and I stopped rhyming because I wasn't good. You know what I mean? And I did the same thing you did. I said, let me take this time and just focus on producing. Yes. I was in ciphers with people at Morgan, and I could just sit back. You can tell niggas know. Yeah. You know if you get on a basketball court, if you can really hoop or not. Like, you know. Correct. You know what I mean? Correct. So for me, I'll never forget, I wrote this rhyme. Y'all probably don't remember this. This is for the 44 and over crowd. For a minute, Pepsi, they had clear Pepsi. It was clear. It was clear Pepsi. And I spent all this time, and my punchline for this rhyme was, so I'm going to switch my style like Pepsi and make myself clear. And nigga, it was crickets. Yo, I was like, I spent all fucking day writing that rhyme. Yo, I I knew niggas was gonna lose their mind. It was gonna be like, no, they didn't say I ended my rhyme with that, and ain't nobody say shit. I was like, and that was my last cipher. I was like, I'm not good at this shit. I'm not good. I'm not good. So you know what? Let's take this time.
The same thing.
Let's take this time and learn how to make beats, because this right here is not it. But like everybody has said before, nobody ever offered to say, "Yo, that shit was whack. Let me write this for you." Or never. Like it just didn't happen. So that's why, like I said last night on Twitter, this must be some new millennial shit, because I don't understand this group writing and this, you know, we did it together type shit. Like I don't get that. Porsche, what about you? Hip hop, ghostwriting, any place for it?
I mean, there's a place for it because it happens. So do I think that it's good for the culture or bad for the culture? I don't think it's good for the culture. That's for sure. I'm kind of all over the place with it, because I'm kind of like level 3 is okay. Level 4 is okay. But what I hate about the aspect of ghostwriting is that people who have ghostwriters aren't honest about it. So I'm one of those people who thinks, like, if you're going to go that route, at least be public about it, be transparent about it, and let the fans and your peers, you know, rank you and appreciate you accordingly. If you believe that that's okay, then stand on that. I mean, we talk about that with regards to our morals, our values, our opinions. Like, people die on hills all the time. If you think ghostwriting is okay, die on that hill. No one's gonna, like, you can never be like thought less of for telling the truth. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that's one aspect I don't like is if I'm going to use Black Thought as an example. If Thought had a ghostwriter or has a ghostwriter, even for 8 bars, even for 16, for whatever, just say that. Like, why do you have to hide it? Because now that's why people are going to discredit you. That's why you're going to get taken off of top rankings, because you've lied about it. Well, not lied, but you hid it, and people had to find out about it. And there's a disappointing.
We were bamboozled. We were bamboozled.
Yeah, you were bamboozled. We were bamboozled because the whole time we thought that this, like Veg said, like, you put your name on it, we assume it's yours. Why would we question everything, right? So that's where I'm at with it. Like, I'm mad at it because I'm mad that it gets hidden. If it doesn't get hidden, then it's another conversation entirely. You know, like, if you think ghostwriting is good and there's a place for it, make it part of the culture. Like, make it part of the culture. Even back in the 80s, anytime, like, make it part of the culture so that at least there's an aspect, so that now you can say, oh, Drake can be the #1 deliverer because he has a ghostwriter. You know what I mean? Like, now we can call Drake a deliverer. He's a delivery guy. That's what he does.
Drake is the delivery boy. Drake is the delivery boy. I like that.
He's the delivery boy because someone has to write it for him, and he just goes and shares it. Okay, so we can rank you accordingly. So that's just so that's my whole thing with it. So I don't think it's good. I'm level 3, and I hate an aspect of it. So that's me.
Here's the thing, because Porsche, you brought up a lot of great points. Everybody out there, if you take delivery boy, that's Porsche shit. So just give props with it. Like Redman said, I give credit because I'm cautious about lawsuits. So give credit to Porsche with delivery boy. When you said, Porsche, you asked a great question and said, why, if you're die on that hill, and why won't you tell people? You know why people won't tell people? Because they know in their heart of hearts, it's wrong.
Yes, that's why you see me with
that's
the
why, right. That's why they won't admit to it, because in their heart of hearts, they know I'm not supposed to be doing this shit. Yeah. Why do people cheat? Why do people cheat through all the marriage counseling that I'm doing now? Because trust me, y'all, it's getting serious out here with this COVID. Like,
got you busy.
Yeah, people mad. But my thing is if you cheat, why don't you just come home and tell your wife or your husband? Because that's you know true. In your heart of hearts, it's wrong. Yeah. So I'm gonna live this double life. I'm gonna have this family over here and this family over here. So I'm gonna have you thinking I'm the illest lyricist in Cool G rap, but I'm also be over here on this other. So that's the reason why people don't come out. And the other thing was the reason why you know it's wrong is because why was Flex so hyped to pull Drake's card? Because back in the day, that would have been the death blow. That would have been the big joker. See, there's no around this. I had the Bulls CD with your reference to it, and they thought that was the death blow. And then I realized that that's when the game changed. Guess what? Gilly thought he had the death blow for Lil Wayne. When he had the picture of Lil Wayne kissing Baby on the lips, Gilly was like, "Oh, I got you, nigga. Oh, I got you." And then he played that card, and niggas was telling me, "Well, what's wrong with a father kissing his son? That's not his goddamn father, first of all. Okay? That's number one. It's not his father. Okay? That's number one. And number two, I don't even know last time I kissed my father on the lips. Maybe I was 2. I don't fucking know. And if I did kiss him on the lips, but here's the kicker. And if I did kiss my father on the lips, it wasn't because I wanted that shit. That nigga was probably like, "Come here, little nigga." Like, I didn't say, "Hey, Dad, let me kiss you on your lips." So, yes. But again, they thought that was the death blow. They were like, "This is gonna be it. This is how I dead Lil Wayne." With this. Same thing with 50 and Rick Ross. 50, I'm gonna play the CO card. Boom, nigga. All these drugs you moving, nigga, you was a CO.
Right.
This is why I don't know why more PR people don't hire me. I would have been like, Ross, flip that shit. Like, yeah, I was a CO, but I was a nigga moving coke in and out the prison. Nope, this nigga say, "Nope, that ain't me." Nigga, it's you. That's like, just like R. Kelly. Like, that's not me pissing on the girl. Like, nigga, that's you. I have a picture of you. This nigga's so goddamn dumb. Say, "No, it ain't."
Boy, R. Kelly.
Gun. Oh, shit, I said the fucking name.
That digital.
Yeah, you did.
I said it too. My bad.
Oh, we got one more.
But they really thought that was Ross should have just been like, "Yeah, I'm the CEO," but I was the nigga getting the coke in and out. I was moving them packages. You said no, and then it came out he was a CEO, and it didn't even put a dent in his career. It didn't even stop one person from saying, "Yo, fuck that nigga Ross." As soon as the next Ross came out, everybody was back on it. So, Porsche, just to answer your question on why don't people die on that hill, because at the end of the day, they know it's wrong.
Yeah,
and
so I think that answers the question. Is there a space for it in hip hop? There isn't. There isn't. Like, we can give passes where we see fit and we can create levels to accommodate, that's cool. And I mean, it's great for us to do that as fans, but as MCs like Veg and Ev, they're not going to be okay with that. Like, anyone who has to put in the work to do that and knows what that takes will never be okay with that. So I don't know. I mean, that just answers it for me. There is no place for it, but it happens.
But it's here. Eddie, what about you, good brother?
Yeah, so I'll start this off by saying, really, hip-hop wouldn't have gotten where it's gotten without ghostwriting, because Grandmaster Caz wrote for Big Hank, or Big Hank stole Grandmaster Caz's rhymes, right? So, it's still a stain, but it's a stain that brought hip hop to where it is. Because before Sugar Hill Gang, no one was thinking about getting on radio or getting record deals like that. But that opened it up for the real MCs to be like, all right, if they got on, shoot, we're going to get on. Like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, you know what I mean? So I just want to touch on that. But I want to touch on thought. So, even with the context of, what they want, they had 8 hours. It was a specific movie soundtrack. Like I joked earlier, maybe Thought didn't see the movie. But even with all that, like
Eddie, can I jump in for 1 second?
Violation. Yeah.
Can I jump in for 1 second? Or maybe Thought can't write a rhyme about something. I'm just saying, it's the same shit I've been saying for the past fucking 20 years that nobody wants to listen to. They said we need a specific song about a specific topic, and that is something that Thought can't do. Just a little message.
All I write about the girls.
Yeah, just a quick message real quick. But
girls and boys.
But okay, I don't think it's a coincidence that the one song he needed help with 40 other bars was the song that had to tell a story. But I digress. I learned that word from you, Vegas, in one of our joints. I digress.
I'll put it like this, and I've been on apartment 5B. Whenever we talk about, thoughts always on my list, but I gotta knock them down. You know what I mean? And that hurts my heart. But you know what I mean? Like I gotta knock them down because I got an MC like Pharoah Monch who has no allegations against him. Who, unless Prince Poe was writing his rhymes, which I doubt it, but Pharoah Monch went solo, and arguably his pen got better. So is Black Thought writing his rhymes now that he went solo? Maybe, maybe he's writing all his rhymes. Like I like to say that, but he still got a violation on his record, so I gotta knock him down. I gotta knock him down.
Here's the thing,
and then
No, I'm sorry. Finish. I didn't know you weren't finished.
No. I was gonna touch on Nas after this, but if you want to touch on
let's piggyback. The thing that I was going to say with Thought is somebody asked me today, so you think Thought still has ghostwriters? And I said, probably not, for the simple fact that there's no deadlines. The Roots haven't dropped the album in 6 years. So there's no deadline. So if it takes him 2 weeks to write one rhyme, he can take as much time as he wants. You know what I mean? We all know that Funkmaster Flex freestyle wasn't a freestyle. So you can take which is, we talked about that. So you can take all that time. So again, I'm not trying to give Thought a pass. Again, I'm just trying to be fair in saying that if you put somebody under the deadline, maybe they can't produce as well as they can when they're not under a deadline, which goes back to why I said I started giving myself deadlines to write scripts, because I can foresee that that's going to be what I have to do. If I do give all my dreams come true, I'm going to have to turn around scripts like that. So I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom. I need to be able to bang out a script in a week. Like I'm mentally training myself to write like that. So I don't think Thought has ghostwriters personally because maybe he's not a dope MC. I don't think he's an Eazy-E who just can't rap. I think he may just be a MC who just writes slow. Now, one thing I do want to touch on, because, and then we're going to come back to Nas, and I got to talk about this Cuban Dell because...
Wait, Kill.
I'm sorry, Veg, what's up?
Before you go, there is another level that came to mind that Jaguar Wright kind of brought up.
Okay.
That she accused Black Thought of doing. She said one time Malik came in the studio.
Oh yeah.
I started freestyling, spitting some crazy shit, left, and then those same bars appeared on the Roots album spit by Black Thought. So the other level is, and he ain't the only one. Some niggas be biting. Some niggas be stealing rhymes. Some niggas be taking demo tapes or taking studio sessions, recording, cats who want to be on, promising them, I'll holler back or whatever, and taking them bars and putting it on a compilation or an album somewhere. We've seen it a million times where somebody say, that's my song, you know what I'm saying? So there's that level, and here's Jaguar Wright accusing Black Thought of even doing that. So...
that's a great. Can
I piggyback off that real fast, Gil? And I
think, please do.
To your point, Eddie, when you were talking about Grandmaster Jazz, he didn't actually ghostwrite that. Somebody bit his verse.
Right.
And I think because of the fact that we have Biden is one of the reasons why, in my mind, that unspoken rule of you have to write your own shit. Because if you're not writing your own shit, you are Biden. You're writing somebody else's stuff. You're not how Wu-Tang says. You're not the father of that style. That's somebody else's shit that you just regurgitate out of your mouth. Yeah. So I think Biden is another big one because you hear it. I mean, it exists in R&B shit. Marvin Gaye did it. So there's a thing that existed for a long period of time that people have been, and that's stealing. That's even worse than a ghostwriter because you're straight stealing somebody else's work.
Right.
Yeah, it's so close. It hits the heart because it's like these are cats that you hold in high regard as MCs, and now you gotta look at them like real sideways.
Right, and I was gonna say too with the Thought thing, like with the whole biting Malik's rhymes or whatever like that, like that's like Jaguar's been talking so much, I didn't even hear that one. You know what I mean? So there's so much that's still coming out about that. And I didn't address this earlier, but someone had asked me on Twitter, they're like, yo, this chick lying. How she just gonna pop up talking all these allegations? For people who don't know, Malik B died last week. And I was on Trey Lee's live And he was like, yo, yeah, Trey was like, Kill, jump on. He was like, yo, hold on, Jaguar Wright want to get on for a second. This was the day Malik died, and she's crying, and she's going into how the Roots did him dirty. So that's where this is spawning from. This is not no chick who's, I mean, Jag was on the Roots label. They had a subsidiary, Motive Records, through MCA back in 2000, 2001. She was scoring 19 years ago. So this ain't like a woman scoring. This ain't no, I was about to say it again. This ain't no woman sped up. You know, all this pain is coming from Malik dying and her feeling like the people who were in Philly who knew Malik aren't representing for him. And because he didn't have a big name, I'm not comparing this in any way. When Nipsey died, one thing I love about folk with Nipsey, I can't go on a day on Instagram and not see something about Nipsey. And I love that. I love the fact that people are not letting that man's legacy die because he was the face for California. That's how Malik was the face for underground Philly hip hop. So when Jag is not seeing people represent him, you know what I mean, and salute him, that's where all this oomph is coming from. And that's when she's like, fuck it, I'm letting all the cats out the bag now. Like, you know, this is how you gonna do my brother? Like, nah. So this is where all this anger is coming from. And, you know, and somebody was telling me, well, Kill, you know, who is Jaguar Right to tell somebody when not to grieve? I'm like, look, my nigga, here's the thing. Most black folk don't get counseling. So what we do is what I used to do when I was 10 years old. My mom said, clean my room. You know what I did? I just kept putting shit in my closet. And so eventually I wanted to wear that pair of Jordans and I went to go get that and then all the shit just came back out. So I think Malik dying was like the straw that broke the camel's back for Jag. And it was like, boom, I'm going in on all you motherfuckers.
Crazy. I swear.
And Kill, to add to that, I was in Philly during that time. I was in the Black Lilies and all them other spots during that time when Jag was around. People can say what they want about Jag, but she was there. That's the thing. She was there. And you can't take that away from her. She was there. She knows. And like I said on Twitter, if there's one person that knows and would say something, it would be her.
And here's the thing. Somebody had hit me right before the show and said, yo, when is all this bullshit with black folk going to end? I said, when Thought says something, my nigga. That's when it ends.
Yeah.
And until that mystical, magical, majestical day fucking happens, this is what happens. Each day you don't say something, your stocks get lower and lower and lower. Because I don't know about anybody else. Let a motherfucker say Kill ain't make a beat. Nigga, what? The second that shit get the air, I'm on Twitter. Like one of my people was like, oh, well, they got a lawyer up. Nigga, you got a lawyer up to say you wrote your own rhymes? Common may have to lawyer up because that's the next level shit.
Oh, yeah.
But just on some accusation, I don't give a fucking Thought just tweets out, I write my rhymes. Like, nigga, I'm sending an encrypted message or something. Like, I'm not gonna have some shorty just, you know, dispelling my name. Like, nigga, like Marlo said, my name is my name. That shit is all I got. You ain't gonna, that's why Marlo was so fucking hyped. Like, nigga saying, I'm a bitch? Nigga, you stupid? Like, no, get back at them niggas. So every day that Thought don't say something, and when that nigga said, when Jag said, stop having Montez call me, see, Montez is Thought's right-hand man. So that would almost be like if I did something to T, and T was like, yo, stop having Ev call me. All of y'all would be like, oh shit, this serious. Because that's Ev. Ev is Kill's best friend. So if Ev is getting at T, then that really means that some shit happened. As soon as she said Montez, that was the icing on the motherfucking cake for me. And like I told people, y'all can believe whatever y'all want. I'm just telling you from the shit that I know. Again, I just don't know. Vague, if I said Vague, man, if I got on Twitter like, yo, this nigga Vague ain't write one rhyme for our fucking 3 albums. That nigga had Kel Spencer writing for him. You would just let that shit ride, Vague?
I'd be at your house.
Right? Okay? Yeah. Ev, if I sit here and say, yo, Ev ain't write none of that stuff with Dogger Manifesto and Bits and Pieces and the All Dirty Rotten Circus and all the people that we ran with in Philly, you gonna let that shit ride?
No, I mean, you don't let stuff like that ride. That's your legacy. You don't let
you know, so at the end of the day, for my man out there who asked the question, when is this shit gonna end? When Thought says something. But to me, at this point, it's too late. It's too late. You know, because it's too late for
everybody. Yeah, I mean, everybody. You might as well have put that shit out because now he delayed it. It's like, is anyone like, is it going to hit the same way now? I don't know.
Right. I mean, I think here's the thing. I think it will hit because enough people don't know. You see what I'm saying? So again, for me, this is why I say I'm not saying in a disrespectful way, like I don't give a fuck if people leave me. I know for me, I know. So I can't expect somebody who ain't from Philly and don't know me and don't trust me and don't know the people I know. You know, half the people who are out here talking about it don't even know who Jag is. They're like, who is this chick? You know what I mean? And the other half who do know her only know as, oh, that's the chick from Jay-Z Unplugged. You know what I mean? So people don't even understand that stuff. But if you from Philly, you understand. Another reason why ain't nobody gonna say shit to Jag is because I bet every fucking record behind me that Jag will knock every one of them motherfuckers out. Yeah. That's my word. I'm gonna be real with you. Jag is from Richard Allen Projects in North Philadelphia. Okay? Jag will square up with each one of them niggas like on a one-on-one and just line them up and just knock all the motherfuckers out. Jill Scott ain't gonna say shit. The only person I think who may respond is Erica, but she's gonna say some cryptic shit and nobody gonna know what it means anyway. But that's the only person who I think is gonna respond is maybe Erica, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing to Jag. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to her.
I was expecting Jill to say something.
She said some cryptic stuff, but it's like you don't know if it's the Jag though.
Yo, here's the thing: Jag knows where the bodies are buried. Jill ain't gonna say shit. Jill ain't gonna say shit. Because if you was gonna say shit, you would have said shit. Okay, if there's a rumor going on in the streets that I'm cheating on C, you think I'm gonna wait 7 days to tell my wife I'm lying? That's not true. Nigga, the second my wife barred her, like, nigga, who this bitch? I don't know her. I'm making a comment quick. It ain't gonna be no. See, I'll talk to you in 7 days. In 7 days, nigga, all this shit gone. Okay, so you can't have no accusation against cheating on your wife and think all your shit gonna be here in 7 days. Not with a black woman from Harlem. I'll say that. I'll put that asterisk on there. So. That's the thing. That thought response, that'll be it. Ev, you made a good point the other day because when we were on the phone, I was even doubting this. I was like, I know I've heard this, and I know Jag said it, but Jag talking about Malik B and Dice are writing for Thought, and those niggas ain't as nice as Thought. How is that possible? And I know there's somebody out there thinking the same thing, like Dice. How the fuck Dice gonna write for Black? Ev, break down what you broke down.
The same thing, probably.
Yeah, that's why I said I know people thinking it because I was thinking this. So, Ev, you break down what you broke down for me the other night on the phone on how you think Dice and Malik could write for Thought.
Damn, I'm trying to figure out exactly what I said because I was so hyped.
I'm telling you, yo, when these accusations came out, my phone was if it wasn't Twitter, it was texting, it was phone calls, it was Philly niggas. I ain't never seen that many 215 phone numbers popping into my phone in so long. But
I believe it was something around the fact that if you listen to Thought's style, Thought is a lot of times he's all over the place, which is another reason why it's hard to stay focused on one thing. When you can be that all over the place, you can take somebody else's words and make it sound like your own. It's not that difficult to do it because your style at that point is so like it's like a tree with so many like branches you can go to. So that to me. That is one of the reasons why I can see it. Then on top of that, Thought has been rhyming with Malik and Dice for years. They know each other's style. They can emulate each other if they need to. If Dice needs to write something that sounds Thought-ish, or Malik needs to write something that sounds Thought-ish, they can do that. Or if it's not even about that, just because you run that close, you're gonna be kind of similar. If y'all been spitting that long, it's gonna be so. It's not that hard to kind of like take somebody else's words and make it sound like your own thing. So I mean, to me, it wasn't. I mean, it was surprising, but it wasn't a stretch, you know. And then if you look at another thing too is, like I said before, a lot of times when we talk about these tracks that someone else ghost wrote for, it's not like the verses is so off the chain. It just is like, okay, it's filler. So Thought can spit. I can write a verse and Thought can take it, and you would think Thought wrote the shit. Even though our styles are completely different, you can make it sound. I mean, Thought is that to me. He's that. I don't want to say diverse, but it's more so like you can't pin him down on one topic. So he can be all over the place, and because you can be that malleable, you can change it up any kind of way you want to.
Right. Good looking, because like I said, when Jag said this, I'm still fighting it. Like Eddie, I'm still fighting. You know, like I don't believe it. When Ev called me, I was like, nah, man. I mean, come on, Dice ain't even nowhere as nice as you know.
That was my thing. I'm like, Dice.
Hold on, what were you saying, Ev?
I got to bring up one question, man. My thing is, I'm kind of hesitant because I don't want to sit here and be like trying to bash the brother, nothing like that. But I have to ask this question. I put it on Twitter, and I have not gotten no real response to it yet. no one has said anything about the G Master Killer verse. This bar on that he spit on the Thought Verse Everybody shit. If I'm not mistaken, Fonte had that shit on his album. But no one has said nothing. So it's almost like, do we just don't want to, like, are we just turning a blind eye to something?
No, I noticed it. I mean, he flipped it different, but it was pretty much the same.
It's
the same bar.
And it's a strong, and it's a strong punchline. It was a strong punchline in Fonte's verse. So when Thought spit it, I was like, well, that's kind of bold, but okay. Well, and I mean, when people want to say something, nobody said anything about it.
All right. I don't want this to be a thought slander show, but hey, at the end of the day, if the nigga want to defend himself, I would think you would defend yourself. Vegas would be in Maryland all the way from New Jersey. So I would think, you can make a phone call and not have to go through Montez. This whole Stickman Nas thing, you know what I mean? Because Porsche, you said he did do it, right? He admitted to it.
Jay Electronica said he absolutely did not do it. And then Stick said he did. But he didn't say I wrote for him. He said basically it was kind of like I co-wrote with him. So he had an idea and wanted me, or I conveyed that idea on his behalf. That's how I understood it.
Right.
So
and I was confused because that's why I sent it to the group. Like, what the fuck does this mean? Like, this sounds like a nigga who got caught cheating, who just don't want to come out and say, yeah, I was fucking her. Like, it's always all these other excuses. They'd be like, well, I mean, we were friends and we met and nigga, did you fuck her? Like, can we just get to the issue at hand here? Did you write for him or not? Which goes back to level 3 of ghostwriting, having somebody to co-write with. That sounds R&B-ish, right, JR? That sounds very R&B-ish that Brandy would bring somebody in to co-write. I've never heard of any hip-hop people being like, if there's a collabo in hip-hop is, yo, Vay, we gonna get Eb on the album. That's a collabo in hip-hop. Mm-hmm. I don't know about no co-writing. So to me, I'm like, nigga, that's why I'm like, this some old cryptic shit. Like, nigga, did you do it or didn't you do it? Like, what you gonna say, Ed?
No, I want to speak on it because I was gonna bring it up earlier. What I read, what Stickman wrote, and how I understood it was Stickman said he worked on concepts and like hooks, concepts and hooks. So for my understanding, right? So the Untitled album, right? Well, supposed to have a whole different title, but that was kind of new territory for Nas. So I could see him bringing in Stickman and Jay Electronica because they kind of have that kind of content. If he's saying he's trying to get concepts and hooks, and that's what Stickman said he helped Nas with. He didn't say he wrote rhymes. He didn't say he helped him with rhymes. He said he helped him with concepts and hooks. So take that as you will.
And see, I think that's the problem with exactly what you said. Take that as you will. Because it's nothing, because you could go either which way. You see what I'm saying? Somebody told me Stick said he did it. Somebody else told me he didn't do it. And they both sent me the same goddamn article. Same article. So one
but I think it's reading comprehension. Reading comprehension. I read that as concepts and hooks.
But it's not reading comprehension. Here's the thing. You know what Stick sounds like? He sounds like, and I'm sure everybody up here has been through this at one time or another. Maybe not you, Porsche. When your man is cheating on his girl and he includes you in his fucking lie, but didn't tell you he included you in his fucking lie. That's what Stick sounds like. That's what Stick sounds like. Like, oh shit, Nas, y'all didn't tell me that this was coming out. Okay, no, we collaborated on some things, on some different levels. I booked studio time and we conceptualized them. That's what this nigga sound like right here. Because like you said, I can't take it however you would take it. Nigga, did you do it or didn't you do it? When I do counseling, I'm like, nigga, did you cheat or not? Well, see, you got to understand. Nigga, answer the question first. Then you can talk for the next fucking hour for all I care. Did you do it or not? And that's what, and whenever somebody doesn't answer the question, you've answered the question. Mm-hmm. You've answered the question when you don't answer the question. Silence, when people are silent, it says a lot.
It's like pleading the fifth.
There you go. Thank you.
It's exactly pleading the fifth.
That nigga said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what that nigga did.
You don't want to incriminate yourself by actually speaking on it, so you're just going to stay silent.
if you
So-
about to get kicked out the house, Eddie, you ain't gonna be like, well, take it as it is. You're gonna be like, I ain't do it. It ain't gonna be no, they about to kick you out the apartment. I paid my rent. You ain't gonna be like, well, I mean, I put it to the place, and if you think that nigga, you gonna say you didn't do it. So
I'm
I mean,
saying,
that's the thing.
what I'm saying, what I read Stickman's statement,
No,
and it was clear to me. It was clear to me what he was talking about. He said, "I helped with concepts and hooks."
Right,
So
I feel you.
concepts of the songs is not the same as lyrics.
Right,
Right.
I feel you.
That's
And
correct.
this isn't to you. This is the stick man. This is I'm telling him say what it was. The question was, did you ghostwrite for Nas? Answer that, then tell me all other bullshit you want to tell me. But answer that first. And when you can't answer that question, I already know what the answer is. Meg, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say I remember when that came out, the question, with Jay Electronica and Stickman saying that they wrote for that album, and I remember Jay Electronica off the rip saying no, but I do remember Stickman initially saying yes, but then coming back and saying something else. And I think when he said yes, I think it might have been a social media thing as opposed to an article which had a whole different vibe. But I'll say this: when I first heard Queens Get the Money, the first track on there, if you ever heard Jay Electronica's Style Wars,
Yeah.
Nas is rhyming exactly like Jay Electronica. And I was like, there got to be some truth to this, because why would you do that? I know like Jay Electronica did the beat, but besides Slick Rick, when did Nas ever really adapt to, especially a new cat's style to spit on a record? Like, he usually, even in his new music, sticks to his own style. And this was the first time I was like, wow, this sounds exactly like a Jay Electronica flow. Like, I know it's Jay Electronica's beat. I get it, but that doesn't mean that's how Nas need to approach it, with the same exact flow on Style Wars. So there's a part of me that kind of believes that there was some collaboration, there was some help in a lot of regards, whether that's writing whole songs or helping write bars or whatever. Like you said, this is uncharted territory for him as far as like being, this conscious on music. But I think there's a lot of truth to the rumor, you know what I'm saying, for that album specifically.
And the hard part is like I said, Stick sounds like the homeboy who wasn't schooled to the thing. But guess who could alleviate that problem? The husband. The husband is the one who could be like, all right, yo, my bad, Ed. I didn't mean to bring you into my shit. No, I did that. So Nas, again, just like with Black Thought, Nas could easily be like, that, get the fuck out of here. Who Dream Hampton, man? She out here kicking rocks. When you don't say shit, you leave people up to make up their own decisions for themselves. Now, Vague, tell me about this, because I never really researched this one. Dell and Ice Cube. Is that true?
I think it is, because I had heard something like that back in the days, and I was such a fan. I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Y'all lying. No way. Because I just didn't want to believe it. But then I kept hearing it over the years. I don't know which record it was, but like Dell wasn't shy about it, but he also wasn't bragging about it, because he was, to him, it was like, well, he writes everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just because I did this don't mean everything else is invalid. So I believed it after a while. But in the beginning, I didn't want to believe it, obviously, because when you look at Ice Cube's image and then you look at Dell's image, you just, especially at a younger age, you just thinking like, well, how can he write like that? You know what I'm saying? When he's that kind of rapper.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, I've ghostwritten for people who, done shit that I wouldn't do. So it's easy.
Right. Now, here's the thing, and Porsche, this is a great point that you brought up about being honest about it. Because when Vegas just said, well, Dell said, Cube writes everything else, it made me think of a wife who does all the cooking. You know what I mean? Now she needs a break. The husband cooks. But at the end of the day, the wife doesn't take credit for that meal. You see what I'm saying? So I'm with you on the whole thing that, hey, okay, cool. You wrote all these rhymes. You're burnt out. You need a break. That's cool. But then let us know that somebody else did that. You see what I'm saying?
And that's why I'm kind of level 3, because I think and I've said this many, many times, this is like, I stand firm on this opinion about ghostwriting, is that I'm okay with ghostwriting as long as you have some portfolio that you've done the work previously. So if you've written and we know that you're capable, but you just needed a break, you just needed, that help for that time, like, that's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna discredit you at all. Just like Veg said, everything before doesn't become invalid just because you got help on one project, but like be Drake. Honest about it and let everybody decide for themselves,
Well, Veg, please, do we have to go there tonight? It's getting late.
Like Drake.
Listen.
Let's be clear.
No. Listen, Drake is not good. This is the thing. Whether he writes, his ghostwriter is better than he is. He's
not.
Trash.
No, he's not.
Vegas, stop it. You're a Drake fan.
One record
stop
that
it. You will die on this hill. I cannot communicate with you about
the one record that dude was accused of writing is complete garbage. The records that we like from Drake, there are no ghostwriting accusations.
I don't believe that.
So I don't. You got to credit Drake, right?
No.
All right. Here's the thing. You got some that?
Yeah, I got another perspective. So we've been talking about the artists. We've been talking about the artists who have been ghostwritten for or have accusations. But my other perspective is, what about the artists that do ghostwrite, like someone like Mad Skills, who is known for ghostwriting, or like, Royce the 5'9" said he ghostwritten for Diddy and stuff. There's artists out there who are, have sharp pens that have admitted to ghostwriting. Now, if we're saying this ain't a part of the game, the artists that are doing this for a bag, is it just like, all right, I'm gonna get this bag, but, I'm not considering you an MC if you don't write your own shit. Like, what's your perspective on that?
You know what, Eddie? You took the words right out of my fucking mouth, man. Because here's my thing. We want to get mad at the crackheads in our neighborhood. Well, I came up in the 80s era, 80s Reagan crack. I got to be very specific with what crack era. I'm from the Reagan crack era. And we always wanted to blame the crackheads, but do we ever blame the drug dealers? You know what I mean? The people who are selling them their crack. So I think what happened is, Ed, you said it right there, when the bag comes into play. Because I'll say this. I haven't heard any really things of people ghostwriting for other people until a bag came into play. You know what I mean? So on that Puffy Forever album, I know Pharoah wrote for him because Diddy was rapping just like Pharoah Monch. Like it's obvious Pharoah wrote this song for him because he literally is trying to do every flow. Probably had to get punched in 1,000,000 times to do it, but literally did every flow. And I've always questioned this. I've always said, well, can we get mad at the person being ghost written for, but not get mad at the ghost writer? You know what I mean? I know Sky Zoo writes for other people. I mean, I just think what happened was the underground artists got tired of being broke. And the easiest way for them to make money, because it was never going to be record sales. 1,000,000 people are never going to buy Talib Kweli or Mos Def's album. They're never going to be on a Diddy level. They're never going to be on a Jay-Z level. So really the only way for that core artist to eat was to ghostwrite. Now I'm gonna give you an analogy. The only way for some people in urban Black communities to make money is to sell drugs. You're fucking up your community. You're fucking up people. But it's the only way for them to make money. But we hate drug dealers, right? And again, I notice nobody's dying in hip hop. I'm just saying that you're messing up our community. You're messing up our culture. You see what I'm saying? So I've always been the one to believe that the ghostwriter is just as bad as the ghostwriter for, whatever that word would be. But that's my belief. Vay, what you got?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, one, you don't have to sell drugs. You can get your ass a job. You may not like the job.
But you know what, Vay? The same thing. You don't have to ghostwrite. You don't have to ghostwrite.
But in the record industry, everybody is employees. Yeah, and right. There are higher ups that you report to, and they don't give a fuck about your hip hop rules.
Nope.
So if your shit is trash and this nigga's hot, but he ain't marketable, but he can write some shit for you. Then we're gonna put you with him so we can get the hit we can get and we can recoup. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of like that's the number one thing. It's like I used to tell a couple of my friends that shit. Like when we was all rhyming and it's kind of, you know what I'm saying, we was young, we was getting better, we all had connections, and everybody was looking to get on, including Cal. I was like, now all that shit we doing in the dome, making records and shit, that shit is cool, but now you have a job. Like, you have a record deal, congratulations, my nigga, but now you have a job. So if you don't meet this criteria for your job, you might not have a job no more. And like, I feel somebody like Pharoah Monch, like, it sustains what he's able to do. He can do the shit he loves and pay his bills on the side. You know what I'm saying? So if he's gonna give us a dope ass album we love, but he gotta go right for Puff, go do that shit. Because we ain't expecting Puff to be dope anyway as an MC. You know, just dance and make some shit we could dance to. But that's kind of the thing I used to be on, because I know a lot of my friends was kind of like they were taking those outside rules and applying them to the industry. And I'm like, man, you read any article in the source you read about, I mean, especially like today, you watch Unsung, it don't even have to be hip hop. Once you get a deal, it's a job, you know what I'm saying? And then that contract matters, and the details in that contract matters. And some cats, you know, either they have the capability to fulfill that by coming, you know, just being really creative and being a writer, like someone like a Stevie Wonder or whatever. Or, you know, maybe you feel like you were hot on one album and, you know, you stuck. So it's kind of like you said earlier, you know, you got a lot of industry dudes who understand, who like, I get it, thought, you know what I'm saying? And you have a lot of us who are more like, fuck that, you're black, thought, you ain't supposed to be doing that, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a yin and a yang and two different worlds at the same time.
Right. Let me jump in here real quick with Ghost producing. Me being a producer, Rack, I don't know how you feel. I think Ghost producing is whack. I understand it's part of the game. I always give the example when Kanye and Just were like neck and neck, and everybody would be like, who's better? I'd be like, Kanye. They'd be like, name me your favorite Kanye beat. I was like, Cameron's Down and Out. Came to find out Kanye ain't even do fucking Cameron's Down and Out. And like Ev said with an MC, from that point forward, he literally evaporated off my top 10 list like that. Because now I have to question, what else didn't you do? Because like Porsche said, stand on it. But then what I'm taking from Porsche and mixing in with a little saying is the label at the time was like, well, Kanye, you're the hottest artist right now. So if we say produced by Kanye West, it's going to sound much better than is produced by whoever the real producer was. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, yeah,
but but I don't put the onus on the industry. I expect the industry to be a snake about it. Right. Well, I put the onus on the person. So, so like, for example, if we're a crew and you guys did writing for me, and like, it's my job to come out and be like the record label isn't going to say, oh, you guys better, like Portia, you better say that they wrote for you. But like, if I have any ounce of like morals and values about being honest with myself, then I come out and be like, hey, off the record, like these guys wrote for me. You know what I mean?
But I think the hard part is, Portia, is like Veg said, in the industry, that could tarnish you. So your label would tell you, don't you say nothing about you write your own rhymes, because somebody else writes your rhymes for you, because then that discredits you. And the way we're trying to market you is the light-skinned, long-haired girl who can write her own rhymes. That's your, so you can't.
But my contract has a life cycle, right? So at some point, come out with it, man. Like at some point, like Black thought you had all these years to come out with it, and
but nobody pulled the card. But nobody.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying is you should have enough, like. You should have a good enough character that you could come out and be like, hey, I'm getting all these accolades. Everyone's putting me on this throne. How do you sleep at night? Like that's
Hey, you know what? I don't know if you watch. I don't know if you watch Snowfall.
Industry, your mind changes. So
when you put a body in a cement wall, you don't go break that shit back down.
And again, I don't know if you ever watched Snowfall, Porsche. There's the scene where the cop is talking to Franklin. He's like, "Oh, you need to watch a great show." But he says, "How do you sleep at night?" And Franklin said, "Like a baby."
Yeah.
Like a baby.
Yeah,
Doing
well,
all
clearly,
the dirt I do.
like, everyone with ghostwriters who's hidden it has been sleeping like a baby. That's not up for question. But what I'm saying
but I do
is,
want to say this. I'm sorry. Keep going, Portia.
No.
I was going to say with Ye, in Ye's defense, Ye is the one who came out and admitted it. It was on a mixtape that Ye had out, and he said he was playing the original samples, and Ye came out and admitted, "Yo, I didn't do." He said people be coming up to me all the time, "Yo, Down and Out is my favorite beat. Down and Out is my favorite beat." He said, "Yo, I didn't even do the beat." One of my young boy producers and said the guy's name. He really did the beat. So to just say how you said, like, be honest about it, like Ye was honest.
I never thought a day
out.
would come where I could say I respect Kanye West for anything that he's done in the last, like, God knows how long. But I can honestly say I respect him for that, at least, you know.
And then the hard part for me as a producer, I mean, I was talking about this. I didn't get, because there was a time when Kanye was working on Power. And again, this is documented. This is on YouTube. He didn't like his drums. So he brought in Timbaland to program drums for him. And I was just like, where the fuck do they do that? If you can't program your own goddamn drums, nigga, you ain't a producer.
Are you serious?
Like, I'm dead ass. Like that right there.
Listen to
like
it.
that. The thing is like when we sit around and we say, man, Pete's drums or Q-Tip's drums, like as a producer, that's like your staple. So it's like when Ye was on, like he was sitting there trying to do them, he's like, I don't like him. Yo, call Timbo up, and Timbo came. If you need help and you want me to show you how to do something, that's cool. But you're gonna program my drums for me? No. That's a no. You know. Yeah. And again, Kanye is documenting this, so he's not trying to hide it. He's not trying to dip and dive or pull no wool over nobody's eyes. But even for me, I'm just like, that's like me saying, yo, I gotta make this beat for Vague for our album. I can't chop up this sample. Yo, Rat, come over my crib and chop up this sample for me and sequence it for me. Well, God damn it, you did the beat. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you did the beat.
So you made me think, you know, talking about Kanye and the Down and Out, and I started thinking like, what is the song or beat that your top MC or producer, like if you found out they didn't do it, like would change your perspective? Like for me, like
we already know, of course.
Like if I found out like Biggie didn't do Warning, or if I found out DJ Premier didn't do Come Clean, you know, like it would just blow my mind. You know what I mean? Like
if I found out Pete Rock didn't do Troy, I would. You guys would not hear from me for a very long time.
We already know.
Like I would be out.
That's a dope question, Eb. I mean, Eddie, what about you, Eb? What would be the song or the beat that if you found out somebody didn't write or somebody didn't produce, you would just be like, yo, I quit?
So me talking to
Ed. Eb, you.
For you.
Me. Oh, shoot, my bad. You touched the head. Any of it.
Eb just said everything. From the rooter to the tutor.
Because my thing is, if you put your name on it, you said it's what you did, I'm going to take it as what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not what you did, then I'm going to at that point I have to discredit you. I can't believe anything you say after that.
Correct.
Because I don't know what else you lied about. I don't know what else you got hidden somewhere else. And you know, that's just me. It's anything. It don't got to be the popular shit. It could be the non-popular shit. It could be the whack shit. But it's like if it comes out later that you didn't do it, then you know I'm going to look at you different. But to go back to the point, we got to remember too, the shit is called ghostwriting. The whole idea is for people not to know, too.
Right.
Just to put that out there. The whole idea is to keep it contained, and you know. So if you need to go that route, you got to really question what kind of artist are you.
Yeah, that is true. That's a great point. I remember when Rawkus first did Ghostwriter with Skills, there was the edited version, and he was bleeping people's names out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then I think years later, that's when he came out with the unedited version, and he was like saying people's names. Because I remember when they first sent that to EAA, and we was like sitting around like, ooh, I wonder who he talking about. Well, you know, this and that and other thing like that. So, Ev, that's a great point. The whole point is for this to stay. It's almost like Secret Lovers. It's like Atlantic Star. Some old school R&B for you, JR. It's like Atlantic Star. Secret Lovers. You ain't supposed to know about my side piece. So you're not supposed to know that I am doing this because you're supposed to be a ghostwriter, nigga. And half the part of me paying you is to keep your mouth. You the side piece. You the NBA side piece wife. You like, nigga, you can't talk because you signed the contract saying you can't say I'm smashing you, so my wife don't find out. Look at this, man. Y'all got me, man. Right. What about you? What would be the song or the artist for you that would just kill you? I know for me, you could just say New York State of Mind, both. Premier didn't do the beat, Nas didn't write New York State of Mind. I'm like, why are we still doing Apartment 5B? What's the point here? Record's still laughing in Vegas. What about you? What's your joint? What would just kill you if you found out?
Well, real quick, I just wanted to piggyback because I was thinking about Black Thought and all of this. And I think the difference with him not saying anything, especially now, is there was a point not too long ago, a couple of years ago, where you know, a lot of underground fans were like, you know, why doesn't Black Thought get brought up? I think we did that in the podcast. Like, why don't people bring Thought up when they talk about the best MCs? Then he did the Funk Master Flex joint, and then everybody knew who he was, and then, you know, he was raised where he belonged, you know, given his work. So I think somebody like him is like, well, I went under the radar for so long. I ain't trying to give up that spotlight. I got a new spotlight now, and we got solo albums. Before we didn't get solo albums. So I kind of feel like he might have been, I mean, not that he would admit anyway, because he come from the same era. He's not going to say that shit, that somebody else writing this shit, especially not that he stole it. But, you know, I just kind of felt like with somebody like Black Thought, I hope when he does address this, he does it in a song, because that's the only way people will take the rest of your music on your album. If you address it in a record, because then it's like, okay, you going to rock. First of all, you going to spit. So if you're going to talk about it in your song, I'm hoping nobody wrote it, but I'm assuming no one wrote this shit. You know what I'm saying? And depending on how dope it is, we'll just forget whatever Jaguar Wright said. But it's a song that would kill me. I'm with Portia, because obviously there's songs I love, but that one, that gotta be P Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, that gotta be P Rock. Given the relationship,
I cannot tell you the level of heartbreak I would have if.
But y'all know that it was the big controversy that it was Large. No. That Large Pro was the one. Yeah. That Large Pro gave him this album. Was like, here, go use this. You know what I mean? No. I'm with you, Porsche. I'm with you. I'm with you, Shorty. I got you. We good. And I'm just saying, but I'm saying back in the day, like that again, it's different things. Diamond D was the one who, if you brought him the record, he gave you co-production credit. He didn't give you no money, but he gave you co-production credit, because to me, part of making beats is, like I said earlier, it's finding the records. So Pete has been on record many times saying, I did the beat. Nobody's discrediting that, but it's how deep you go into it. There were people saying, well, you ain't even dig for this record. Large Pro gave it to you. So Pro, you know, he should get half the credit for it. And not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that, like, even with stuff like that we, you know, everybody has different rules. It goes back to how I said, how were you raised? You know what I mean? I heard a story, and was it Diamond and the Beat Miners? It may have been Diamond, that the Beat Miners, the drums that they used for Bucktown or some production were Diamond drums, and like Diamond stepped to the Beat Miners, and the Beat Miners had to prove to them that they had the record and that they didn't jack it from the real that Diamond like it used to. This is how serious this is how serious this shit used to get in the 90s, that it's like, nigga, those was my drums, you stole them from the studio. You know, Marley is like, yo, BDP stole my drums and made the bridges over with my drums. Like, that's how hard producers were with their shit. So JR, when you was talking about somebody programming your drums, Marley is like, yo, you stole my drums. So I actually produced Criminal Minded because you did the album with my shit. You know what I mean? So, but I'm with you on the choice.
I got a quick question for you, and because I haven't done this research, I'm not sure if anybody here has done it. This particular track that Black Thought is being accused of having a ghostwriter, or Malik and Dice writing for, has anyone looked at the credits?
Well, see, I don't think the only thing that she gave the name for was that Best Man soundtrack. You know what I mean? And then I know Eddie said
that one, Black Thought is on it though.
Right,
Okay.
but I don't. I got the Best Man soundtrack around here somewhere, so I can look at the credits.
It has Malik and Dice on the credits of it. I'm just curious about that. Not that it changes.
Right. But I think that there's so many stories because Jaguar was there. So this shit got story for the day. So I can't even keep up with them. The story Ed sent me today, I didn't know about, and I thought I was up to date on Jaguar.
The other song she talked about was the lesson part 3.
Yeah,
The lesson, yeah.
on 3.
She didn't necessarily say that anyone wrote Thought's rhymes, but she basically was like, Thought was struggling. Meanwhile, Malik B, he kept going, and they had to shorten his verse because he spit so much off the top.
He rapped off the reel, basically.
In part 3, yeah.
And another thing, man, and I hate to go back here, but another dope point that if you're not from Philly, you don't read the liner notes, you may not know. Rich Nichols was the Roots manager who passed away a couple of years ago. So when Jaguar's talking about, Rich used to always be like, I wish I could just take Malik and Thought and make them into one MC. And she was saying that basically the Roots was Rick Nichols' brainchild. You know what I'm saying? And it was basically, he didn't want to be the artist. So he kind of like gave all the ideas to them and pushed them out into the world. Like Rich was the one who was in charge of all that shit. I forgot what album it was. This nigga actually had a strip pole put in the studio because he was like, I can't get these niggas to go to the studio because they always in the strip club. Fuck it, let me bring a strip club to the studio. So like this dude was the mastermind of bringing things together. It's on record that Quest has said that only Rich was the person who could get the best take out of Thought. And it was strange to me because I had never really heard that from an MC perspective. I've heard it from an R&B perspective. I remember there was a story of Usher needing to do one of them songs over that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis produced. And they was like, Usher was like, I only want Terry or Jam, one of them, to come coach me through this. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. You remind me. And that was the thing. So when they said that Quest was like, yeah, Rich can get the best out of Thought, I was kind of just like, what does that mean? Like, you can get the best out of him. You know what I mean? So
and I've read liner notes. I forgot which specific album, but I've read liner notes where they talk about how Rich Nichols would make them rewrite verses. Like they did the verses for the songs for the album, and he's like, nah, rewrite this.
Yeah, like Rich was like the fucking MP. He was like, so don't think that Thought was in charge. Don't think that Quest were in charge. Like Rich ran that shit like a camp. Like that nigga, I don't know what it is in the military, whatever's the highest rank, that's what Rich was. Because Thought was not bucking back. If Rich said rewrite it, he rewrote it. So I can't call it. I can't call it, y'all. But I'm with Porsche. If you do it and just say you did it. Just, But what was the thing? If the glove fit, you must have quit, or if the glove don't fit, like, I don't know. I'm just still sitting here like, hey, if somebody accuse you of something, say something. Yeah. Like, just say something. Send up a fucking, what's that old Morse code shit? Do something. Tap on the table. Do something. And here's my last joke of the night. Vague, you said Thought should write about it in a rhyme. We all know Thought can't fucking write about something and stay on topic. So fuck, we're right back there.
Lord,
so, and we're back. Okay, so everybody, tell them where they can get you. What's up, Vague?
Black Thought, if you listening, I got some bars for you, nigga, on the cheap.
Yo,
Wow.
Got a job, nigga. So
Here you go. Go ahead, Kill.
Record deal. I got a job.
On the spin,
You can buy that PS5 for me. I give you some bars for that record.
Yo. Okay, let's go. Vague, tell them where they can get at you, good brother. For bars too, not just for the podcast, but let them know for them bars too.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Vegas World INC. For some bars, you could go to vegasworldinc.bandcamp.com, and you can check out my weekly podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Good brother Ev out the West Coast. Tell them where they get you, good brother.
Get at me on Instagram, Everett.cease, on Twitter, Mental151, and that's it. There's some other stuff coming, but on this topic, I'm gonna say this. I think Thought may put it in the verse, and it might be banging.
Mm-hmm.
It's questionable, everything else outside of questionable, but I'm curious to see what he said, if he say anything.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the. I think the problem is I think enough people, and again I understand because again if I wasn't from Philly and didn't have the ties, I wouldn't believe it either. You know what I mean? So I don't think a lot of people will really be affected by it because I know people who are just like, nope, don't believe it, keep it moving. Like and I'm not listening to nothing Jag is saying no more. Whatever. Just keep it moving. So yeah, I don't expect a lot of people to
go on the Breakfast Club and just freestyle it in a verse. That would put everything to rest.
That would, but he'd have to stay on topic. So, Rec, give him everything, good brother.
All right, man. So I'm giving shameless plugs today, man. So got a new
Please
business.
do.
Hey, man, we do the cups. You know what I mean? If you need a nice little cup for your logo or for your team, got the little good vibes joint for the weed smokers. And then we do the shirts. I ain't repping Jersey today, but I'm repping Philly. As you can tell, you know what I mean? I made this shirt last night. So I do shirts. The wife, she does the tumblers. We do weed trays, all that, man. The Instagram is glitz_and sparkle. Hit us up, man. We got you. For the music, Texas Fleet Radio. I got a show on there Wednesdays, 8:00. Check it out. I'm still doing the foundation joint on Mixcloud at DJ Rec 1. And the album is coming soon. Just working on the cover right now. Once that's done, I'll get a date to y'all, man, and we go from there, man. It's all beats, instrumentals. Still working on some stuff with our Veg. I don't want to speak on it because I know that man is working on his pen. So we got some joints coming, man. Just stay tuned.
All right, no doubt. JR, the R&B guru. Give him everything, good brother.
All right, check me out on Junior's World of Soul on Instagram and Music Sonic on Twitter. Just started this new joint on R&B representatives. Me and my girl Elise. We talk about certain things in R&B music. It's funny, all that good stuff. So check us out on IG. Our website is coming. We coming with a YouTube page, all that good stuff. So look out for that. But you can follow me on Junior's World of Soul. I do current R&B bangers every week, and that's about it.
All right, Porsche, give him everything, miss.
Just Twitter at Cherchez La Porsche.
And she likes Troy. Ed, give him everything.
Eddie D80 on Twitter, on Instagram at Eddie Got Soul, and I got to shout out Trey Lee. He got one of the dopest albums of the year so far. You get it on Patreon, patreon.com/Tracy Lee Music, or you can get it directly, TracyLeeMusic.com, man. But talk about Philly hip hop, man. He's crazy album. We know he writes all his own rhymes. There you go. He got the bars, so check it out.
All right, and y'all already know this with me. Kill APT5B, apartment 5B on Twitter, Kill 889 on Instagram. We'll make beatsforfood.com. Me and the good brother Yao got a new podcast called Off the Top. It's about hoops, hip hop, and sneakers. We may even throw some low in there too. The concept is we ask each other one question about each of those 3 to 4 things that the other person doesn't know about, and you got to come off the top with the answers. Eddie, great plug for Trey Lee, word of mouth promotions. Vague, real quick, what are you banging this week? Like 18 albums came out last week. What was the one that you picked to rock with?
Well, originally I picked none because all that shit was boom, 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 and I was just like, yo, I can't.
It just kills me, man. What do you?
I can't. Like, I mean, y'all niggas don't get tired of that shit. Like, come on.
No, Vegas.
You just niggas just boom, 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 you in.
Yes. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of Drake bullshit.
Boom, nah, boom, man. Boom. Like,
no.
I'm sorry.
This nigga said it was too
I got
much
a lot of
boom,
hip hop
boom,
in here.
This nigga said
everybody
too much
shooting
boom,
shit
boom.
up. So, brother, get tired sometimes. For me, what was I listening to heavy? Let me just glance real quick. It wasn't a joint I posted about today. I just happened to hit play again on that.
Okay.
Actually, Jodeci. That's what I was listening to. I'm listening to old shit. Obviously, I'm checking out what's new in hip hop and all that. But lately, I just been, I laid off Jodeci for a minute, because I do like my annual listen to my certain records, and I was like, damn, I ain't listened to Jodeci yet. So, best of the show, the After Party album, all that.
All right, no doubt. JR, what you been banging this week? That new Brandy?
I got to get ready for it for tomorrow. So, yeah.
All
Trying
right.
to find some piece of good in it. So,
oh, okay. Well, there you go. I hope you do if you're going on their website tomorrow.
I told them I'm going to be honest, so I hope they ready for this.
You need some piece of good rec. What you been banging this week?
Man, I've been banging Glory, to be honest with you, man. That Trey Lee. Okay. That Trey Lee has not left rotation since we got it. That thing is fire.
Right, no doubt. Ed, what you been listening to?
Yo, man, I'm still listening to J Elect joint.
Okay, no doubt. I ain't mad at that. That's my workout music right there. Porsche, what you listening to?
Ooh, I'm listening to Trey Lee's Glory, RJ Payne's new joint, and Flea Lord and Pete Rock. I cannot stop listening to these 3 albums, you guys. It is like the best ever, and I haven't gotten around to anything else. Yeah, I mean, this is just the best 3 albums that have dropped. Like almost, I want to say thus far, but not quite, because I got Blue in Exile in there too. But yeah.
All right, cool. Eddie, what about you? Oh, you started it. You started off with Trey.
Yeah, so definitely the Trey Lee, the Flea Lord and Pete Rock. That's definitely there. The Blue in Exile, I'm still rocking with that. And then this Pandemic, it's called the Pandemic Project by Toby Nwigwe. I don't know.
He's out of Houston. That boy is dope.
Yeah, he's the dude that did that song "Try Jesus."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he got a whole EP. It's like 6 or 7 track EP. is really dope. He got a joint for Breonna Taylor. It's a really dope project. So give it a listen.
All right, no doubt. And we've had the Trey Lee for a while, so I mean I've been banging that for the past 2 weeks. But after that, I kind of have to put stuff in order. So it's like it was Trey Lee, then it's the Flea Lord and Pete Rock, and I love the beats. But I'm with Vegas. I'm done with the boom, boom, booms. If you're not with Griselda, I don't want no more booms. So I'm like, Flea, how are you connected? Because the boom, booms are happening too much. But Pete Rock killed the beats. I think Pete Rock. I know crazy. I know we've done a Pete Rock salute episode. I'm almost ready to do a Pete Rock maybe post 2000 episode because I feel like all we talk about is Troy this, Troy that. They reminisce, but
that would be dope.
This nigga, it's 2020. And them beats are crazy. And then you're taking Retropolitan. This nigga was making beats. Yo, I heard the Creator when I was in 11th grade in 1990. Nigga, it's 2020.
I was 12.
You know what I mean? So we may have to do that. Pete Rock, we just talking stuff that has been post 2020. Then came RJ Payne, then BSF, then 38 Special, then ETO. So half of this shit I won't even get to till damn near September. Because I like to at least live with an album for at least a week or 2 if I actually like it. So that's it. I will check y'all all next week, y'all.
See ya.
All right.